Welcome to the wonderful world of focus stacking with landscape photography. You can do it with any kind of photography. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to take your photography to the next level, you're going to want to learn how to focus stack. But Joe, what exactly is focus stacking? Well, let me show you. Okay, so when taking landscape and nature photography with the idea of focus stacking in mind, you're going to want to keep a few things in mind. First, you're going to want to compose your shot so there's a foreground, a midground, and a background. Otherwise, the idea of focus stacking just isn't worth doing. Secondly, you're going to want to set your camera up on a tripod because you don't want to have any camera shakes when taking the shot because each image is going to have to stack on one another. Then you're going to want to focus on each element of the shot. So for the first image of my composition, I'm going to focus on these rocks in the foreground. For the second image, I'm going to focus on the bottom of the waterfall. For the third image, I'm going to focus on the top of the waterfall. And for the fourth image, I'm going to focus on the background behind the waterfall. And for a quick tip, make sure you're shooting on a timed shot mode. This way it will eliminate any sort of micro jitters your tripod might have when clicking the shutter. Otherwise, they will not stack up properly. Okay, so now it's time to edit. The first thing you'll want to do is select the images that you want in the stack. For this particular shot, I did 4 different focus points. Now I went ahead and made a preset prior to this video in order to get the settings and color grading I wanted on this photo. So quite simply, for each one of the photos in this focus stack series, I'm gonna apply this preset. You're going to want to make sure that each one of your photos are edited the same exact way, otherwise it's just not gonna merge properly. We're gonna wanna export this to Photoshop as layers. So in order to do this, you're going to click on the first photo in your series, hold the shift button in, click on the last photo in your series. This will highlight all your photos. Then you're gonna right click, go to edit in, and all the way down at the bottom, you'll see open as layers in Photoshop. Click that and it will export it into Photoshop as layers automatically. Okay, so now over on the right, you can clearly see each one of your layers. So we're gonna want to align these layers just to make sure they align in the best way possible. All you have to do is again, click on your first one, hold shift in, click on your last one. This selects all of them. Go to edit, drop down to the middle-ish area where it says auto align layers. And that's just gonna render out, do it automatically, just making sure that your layers are properly aligned. Now the last thing you're gonna do is the fun part, and that's blending the layers together. Now just note there are ways to do this manually using a brush tool, but the auto blend function just works fine in most scenarios, especially for newer landscape photographers. You're gonna go back into edit, click auto blend layers, select blend method as stacked images, and leave the other 2 checkboxes checked in as they are in default. Press OK, and then the magic happens, and Photoshop automatically detects what are the sharpest points in your image to create the ultimate in focus sharp image blended together. And once that's done, it renders out a beautiful photo. One of the cool things you can do is over on the right in your layers, you can turn each layer on and off and see what part of the image Photoshop used to make the most sharp image possible. Now, as you remember when I was doing this out in the field, I was manually selecting my focus spots to get the foreground, the background, and middle of the photo. So essentially what Photoshop does automatically for us is detects that, and it uses the first image for the foreground, the second and third images for the midground, and the last image for the background. And the clarity on the master image is just night and day. Lastly, now that we have the image, we're gonna want to export this. So all we're gonna go ahead and do is go into File, Export, Save for Web Legacy, make sure your quality set on very high, and save this down. Now taking a look at one of the images from our first series of photos, you can see if I zoom into certain areas of the photo, there are clear autofocus elements in this photo. But as soon as we switch back to the master photo that was created by using 4 photos, you can tell by zooming in the same spot, that's in focus. And most of the image is actually in focus now. So focus stacking is very useful if you really want to level up your photography game in landscape photography and waterfall photography. Is it necessary? Not really. You can still get wonderful images without focus stacking, but you can definitely tell a difference when a photographer takes their time thinks about the composition, goes through the focus stacking process just to get the most out of their image, and you're left with a wonderful master file image that truthfully just beats out the normal image that you would take out of a camera by not focus stacking. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.